Hey Facebook, it's your friendly nosy neighbors, Jessica Cardin.
And Chad Murdock.
We are so excited for you to join us today, and thank you for doing it. By the way, like and follow our page if you love local businesses and if you love real estate.
Like we do.
Head on over to the Murdock Manwaring Company page and we're on that page as well. So you're on that page probably right now. Like and follow it.
Yeah.
And today we're doing something helpful. What's it called?
We're doing something different, community-based.
Community service today, you guys, because we are in Rigby and we are with two amazing guys that are going to do a demo for us, and I'm pretty excited because something's going to catch fire.
We're gonna have some fire.
Yeah.
We're gonna be burning up.
That's awesome.
Under control though, thanks to Assistant Chief Nick White.
That's
with
right.
The Central Fire District of Rigby.
That's right. And
is it
Skyler?
Rigby or Jefferson County?
Jefferson Central.
Jefferson Central Fire District.
It's so complicated. Yeah. And then Skyler Price with ServPro. We are excited that you guys are here, going to do a little demo. What are we going to see today?
Well, we're going to do the do's and don'ts with grease fires. Kind of demonstrate what to do if we have a grease fire, and what not to do if there's a grease fire.
So let me preface, if you don't know when a grease fire happens, it's when grease that you're cooking with gets too hot, but it doesn't combust, right? It's got to have an ignite.
Correct.
How does it catch fire?
Well, if you leave it unattended and it will get hotter than the ignition point of grease, that's bad, because then it will kind of self-ignite and explode, making that nice big round fire that you see. And that's what you don't want to do. Don't let it go too long. Don't let your grease get up too hot.
So I'm going to just visualize this. So you've got bacon. If I think about it, you've got bacon, you're cooking bacon. Maybe you removed bacon, but you left it on the hot plate, and that bacon grease is just getting hotter and hotter. Yep. Or you're doing turkey gravy, and you've got grease, or I'm thinking about what else
Eventually
is grease.
Cooking French fries.
Yeah.
French fries in a fryer. Yes, okay. All right, because this is coming up with Thanksgiving. Grease is going to get hot there. Okay.
And we're all forgetful, right? So we get something burning, we don't even put the grease in, the stuff we're cooking, we get the oil hot enough to start cooking. We forget about it, the kids distract us. Next thing you know, you got fire alarms going on.
Will the oil ignite without adding something to it? I mean, if it's hot enough, does it ignite on its own, or does there have to be someone putting water in there or something like that?
Does there have to be, what's the word for it? Does there have to be
an ignition source?
An ignition source, or will it just poof?
It will if it gets hot enough, it will just
start on fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And that's something all of us have learned through camping, right?
Yeah.
You get that on the fire and you just get it going, and all of a sudden you got a fire in the middle of your pot and you didn't introduce anything into it.
Yeah.
So we're excited. Skyler's here from ServPro because now you guys deal with initially, but then you guys come in afterwards.
Yes, ma'am.
And you get to see what happens when homes have gone.
Yep.
And this is awesome to be able to learn. This is going to make a big difference.
And so what we're hoping to do is, we're showing how it happened, and then do a couple segments throughout the next month as we're getting ready for Christmas and Thanksgiving, that we can show you how we come in and clean it, and what things to do and what things not to do.
Awesome. So helpful.
And everybody wants to know what you shouldn't do, and no one wants to know what happens if it ignites unless we're in this area, and everybody wants to see a big fire.
That's right.
We all like fire a little bit.
We like fire. As long as it's controlled.
As
That's
long
why
as
fire
it's
department
controlled.
guys become fire department guys.
That's right.
We're
It's so
pyros
true.
at heart.
Yeah.
So tell us what you got set up here.
So
is this where a hobo lives?
Yeah.
This is our kitchen.
We have our mock setup kitchen, and it's kind of to demonstrate what happens when a grease fire catches fire.
Nicely decorated.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and so that'll kind of go along with our next couple segments of how pictures happen, cabinets, and other things that are affected of how and what not to do for the cleanup portion. And we're doing a cleanup of a kitchen fire right now that happened in a third-story apartment.
Oh my goodness.
So now not only the fire damage on that third-story apartment, but then all the sprinkler water and everything that goes through the floor. The fire department needs to come through, and they're checking hot spots. So, to do their job correctly, they unfortunately have to do some destructive measures to look. And so that's where we'd come in. And
so let's talk about that, since we have a few minutes to wait. So once that happens, once there's a fire, these guys have got to put out. What happens next? What are the consequences of this?
Yeah, so the consequences is pretty good damage. People like to just paint over stuff a lot of times, and then the problem is you get that hot weather, or your materials get hot again. Well, the pores will start open back up on all your building materials, and let some more of that smoke out. Insulation's a good filtering tool for it, that it'll hold that smoke smell. So
that's
So
because
it'll
that
always
is, it's
stay-
hard to get the smoke smell
Yeah.
out.
yep.
So
I
that's
didn't know
why.
about that.
Interesting.
Interesting. So let's say this has happened and the fire stopped. When do they make the call? How fast? What should happen?
Yeah, so as soon as the fire chief and everybody releases the scene back to the homeowner saying, okay, hey, everything's clear, our investigation is now completed, the structure is now yours again, that's when you'd want to call a company like ServPro to come in, do an evaluation, and if you have insurance for it, to help make sure that your insurance covers everything possible, because you don't want someone to come in and just go to town on stuff without knowing, hey, how does the insurance react? How does the insurance deal with things? And so that we know that you're not going to have to pay a big hefty bill if, having done right, you could have only had to pay your deductible.
So in that, talking about insurance, do you guys as what would you consider the remediation? You're the restoration, fire and restoration, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you contact directly the insurance, or does the homeowner have to do all of that themselves?
So the homeowner needs to put the claim in to their agent, but from then on, the restoration company can really help steer the project and make sure that everything happens correctly in the way it should.
Do you have to be approved with their insurance company, or could they call you no matter what, whoever
Yeah.
their insurance is?
They can call whoever they want. The good thing about using a company like ServPro is that we do work with the insurance companies nationwide. So it's a normal billing, a normal procedures of job flow that they're used to.
Got it.
So this stinks because this generally happens when it's the most inconvenient, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Not very often it's like, oh, we have plenty of time. The fire starts now.
A week
or-
before,
Yeah.
Right. And
It's-
yeah, so like you say, you get in, unfortunately there is quite a bit of demo to do, and things take time, right? You got lead times for different things to order. You got times waiting for electricians to test things, and the different steps that have to happen. And so it can't be an overnight deal a lot of times. We do our best to at least maybe get it back to where you'd have drywall and a stove sitting there so that you could still have Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
And but the process does take quite a long time with your deodorizations and stuff take time.
Do you guys help get it restored in the aspect of getting the drywall back up, or do you guys just get it to the point where everything is cleared out and the smoke is gone?
So the great part about ServPro is we'll come in, we'll get all the demo, all the deodorization done, and I've got my own employees. They'll come in, hang drywall, do all of our own tape texture paint, and install cabinets and the appliances for you. So it's a
Wow.
one-stop shop.
Wow.
That's
So
cool.
How does that work? Do they get to pick that? How, I think of a kitchen.
yes, ma'am.
How does that work if someone,
Let's walk over to our kitchen right
all
now.
right. Not when, hey, let's make
It's-
sure we're not getting
We're
back
not
grease again.
we're not gonna get.
You guys
there's
all
no
know
grease
this is
over here.
exciting.
So a lot of times what we see is, you've got a kitchen here and you've got, your pictures and drywall up, and say you've had your kitchen for 20 years. Well, how much grease and stuff happens in a kitchen that really embeds itself into the drywall and the paint? Well, we'll come back through now and, we'll do some after pictures of some kitchens that we've restored. But, it's like it never even happened is
Yeah.
our trademark. And so
Yeah.
you're the genie blinking type thing,
Boom.
and you've got a new kitchen.
Yeah.
So, and we'll do everything we can, everything in our power to make it happen for those folks, because it's a tragedy, right? And hopefully no one gets hurt.
If that happens and someone says, well, you know what, since that we have to redo everything, maybe we'll upgrade our kitchen. Can that happen? Will
Most
you guys help with
definitely.
it, or does it have to go back kind of to what it was?
Yep. So the insurance will say, okay, your kitchen was worth $10,000. Well, now they say, okay, well, here's $10,000, get your kitchen fixed. And so you could be like, well, I want to upgrade this and this, and I want granite countertops this go around.
Right.
So you've got that $10,000. We'll put together a new quote on the specifics of how you want your upgrade, and you've got the $10,000 to spend however you want.
So, and then you guys can still help with that, or do they get the $10,000 they have to go find it elsewhere?
No, we can help with everything. We've got vendors around for everything you could possibly want.
Gotcha.
So,
That makes it nice.
One-stop shop.
yep,
Makes it
one-stop shop.
a lot nicer.
Actually go through the whole process with you, or do you guys sometimes just do part of it?
Let me
I
ask
would
this
say-
question. So he said, by the way, camera, East Idaho News is here. Good question. So do people normally go through the whole process with you, or does it usually you guys come in? What's usual? Is that
it's-
right? That's the question?
It's really dependent on the person. We're all different, right? You might like to paint. I hate painting. I will never do painting. So you might say, hey, you know, I want to do my own painting. We're going to work with you and make sure that everything gets done the way you want it. And if my brother's a plumber and I want my brother the plumber to do this piece, we will work with whoever you want. We can do the full gamut. We can do kind of a la carte with things.
And that all still works with the insurance.
Most definitely.
You guys can coordinate that. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes you have a brother who is a painter or a drywaller or
some friend or family that is,
that you
And
wanna
we get a
use
lot
so
of houses
much.
up here that they're vacation houses, right? They come here maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks of the year, and they're gone. So we'll manage everything from beginning pictures to completed pictures, help build the insurance, everything that you could possibly want.
So if they need to get a hold of you, if there's because this is an emergent, right? It's
It
not
is an
very like,
emergency.
hey, let's make sure we know ServPro.
Right?
It's like,
Yeah, some people, you know, if they know Jared or myself or Megan, that's usually going around talking with people. If you don't, it's 208-523-5365, online, servpro.com here in Idaho Falls. Like I say, we are locally owned and operated. So
do they
we're
find
here.
you on Facebook as well? Do you guys?
Facebook,
Okay.
Instagram, like I say, we're all there. So whatever portal you want to use,
You're there.
we're here to help.
Cool.
Probably be a good idea to follow them if you want to get some good tips and tricks, obviously.
That's right. We're moving into a weekly segment after this that we will go through tips on the fire. Then we'll move to different subjects like mold or anything that anybody says, hey, what about this? So that we
Cool.
can have a
'Cause
continual.
that's a whole nother ball of
Oh,
wax.
yeah.
There's
It
so
is.
much beyond this. There are a whole nother set.
It
Water.
is. So yeah, you get the fire department come in, they do their thing, make sure your house is safe. But unfortunately, they introduced a lot of water in your house.
Yes. They
And so water has a funny way of climbing electrical wires and going
my
everywhere. And so it's important to have a restoration company that can get through, you know, your thermal imaging cameras. We've got different meters that can read into the materials pretty deep. So and find every source of damage.
Yeah. Well, this is a big deal because this is your most valuable asset usually. And
Yeah, without a kitchen, what kind of house is it?
yeah. And this is also we find out as we buy and sell. This is a family member.
Right.
Your home for some reason will become an emotional deal, and it's a family member, and they're damaged, and you don't know what to
is.
do when you're displaced. So
Yep.
it's really important to have somebody you can trust.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Awesome. So let's talk about how this works. How long does it take if there's a fire, and do they call 911? What's the process for you guys? What happens next?
So yeah, just dial 911. That goes into our dispatch center. They tone us out. We're paid call volunteers, so it takes us a while to get here, to get to the fire station.
Because you guys are not full-time live at
Correct.
the firefighters, right?
Yeah, there's 4 of us that are full-time, the chief, the assistant chief, then we have another logistics chief, and then our office manager are full-time, but our volunteers that would respond to a fire they got to come from home, come from their work, so they respond. Typically we try to get out the door within about 10 minutes of the call come down, to get out there and help mitigate the situation if it's a medical call, fire call. So roughly about, like I said, about 10 minutes that we'd like to be out the door on the way.
So in this, what should a homeowner be doing? We've got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Before they're out there. In a case of a fire, what are some tips that a homeowner needs to do? What should they be doing?
So on say a grease fire like this, if it's manageable, small, if you feel as a homeowner that you can put it out, if you have a fire extinguisher, baking soda, that type of stuff, if you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, get out, call 911, make sure your kids are out, just evacuate. No sense in trying to go back in if you don't feel comfortable trying to stop that fire. Just get out, wait, obviously flag us down if we drive by, typically, that helps if you're out.
If you have somebody
Wave us
out
down,
waving
yeah,
them
that's a
down,
good
that
point,
makes
yeah.
sense. Because if it's not a rolling fire where there's smoke billowing up to the sky yet,
Correct, yeah.
have someone flagging down. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So,
But there's no fire that's worth putting out and causing damage to yourself.
Right.
Life and limb first.
exactly, yeah.
So just like the chief would say.
Yeah.
Is there any recommendation for covering? Is there I think some people might naturally try to smother it, but I mean, but then also that might be flammable as well. I mean, is there any good thing to do there?
If you have a lid that goes right on top, like I
Yeah.
said, and if you feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable,
Get out.
get out, call 911. But yeah, you can put lid on top of it, you know, try that. Like I said, baking soda is good.
Okay.
Some don'ts that you want to do is, like, if you have flour, don't use flour because flour is flammable.
Or a
Good.
towel.
Or a towel, yeah. Don't use anything that's flammable.
Don't
like
grab
towel.
your dish towel.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Don't try smacking it out because you're just gonna spread that fire even further.
That's what they do when they panic, right?
Yeah. Exactly. That's yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where the water onto the hot grease comes in, is people be like, well, I'll just get a wet towel.
Yep.
Well, how much wet is too wet? And all of a sudden you're putting more water
And you
on
got
than
a
you are a towel.
flamethrower.
And then the chief comes in and is like, wow, I wish you hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I must be an idiot. I would have not have thought to myself, wet a towel, but that would be a really good idea in my mind.
And that's the
But
that's the
not a good
go-to,
idea.
right? Get a
Yeah,
wet
that-
towel to throw on.
Yeah.
But then there's some minutia in that if you mess up,
Well, if they're a cotton towel, I guess in my mind, I would think that would catch fire.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
But a wet towel, now you're putting terrible ideas in my mind because that's a really good idea.
Don't
hey, as
do
a
it.
kid,
Don't
that's
do
Don't
it.
do it. Yes.
full of
Yeah.
terrible ideas.
You're like, this isn't my first rodeo. So once if the fire, they get out of the house, what do you guys do? Should they leave the doors open, get out? What can they do to help you in that aspect if they're just out?
Yeah. Just get out,
Yeah.
stay out, and don't let anybody go back in.
Yeah.
Like I said, your house can be replaced. Everything is replaceable in your home. You're not. Your family's not. You know, don't make that mistake of trying to. Oh, I think I can go get it, put it out. It's best once you're out, stay out, and just, like I said, flag us down. Don't let anybody else go in.
In your experience, this kind of a fire, is it going to take over the house? How often does this turn into a house fire versus just sticking to damage in the kitchen?
Well, it depends. Like I said, if you do put water on the grease fire, it's going to accelerate that fire even more.
Yeah.
And then it will catch the kitchen cabinets. It'll catch the counters on fire quicker. Typically, if it's just contained to that pot or that pan, it may burn the pan, it may burn the stove and a little bit. Typically, they don't spread that quick. It's what you do that makes it spread.
And you can see in a couple of our first attempts that, you know, the grease is all over the walls now, and that's the potential ignition source. Am I correct,
Yep.
Chief?
Correct, yep.
And so that's going to help accelerate
And that's probably
the
been
fire
happening every time I've made bacon.
for 20 years, or however long
I
you've
have
been in your house.
saturated that with bacon grease,
That's right.
And so that can catch fire then, right?
Correct,
Or
yes.
does that have to be hot?
No, it's just like an accelerant.
Yeah.
It gets
Accelerant
hot,
is the word I was
and
looking
it
for the other day.
just
Yep.
catches right on fire.
Good heavens. Yeah, that looks like my kitchen. I'm just kidding. I imagine a light that could look at all of us. We've got all along the undersides of our
Correct.
cabinets and all those kind of things. Yeah. Anything else they need to think of when dealing with grease? Anything else that is a tip to take a look, other than not letting it get too hot?
Yeah, just like when you're done cleaning it, clean your walls, clean the back of your stove, because like I said, it gets everywhere. Just take that extra 5-10 minutes, wipe it down, wipe it all off, so there isn't that accelerant still on the wall when you forget to leave the pan on the stove once.
No.
You know, it just doesn't accelerate that fire.
So if you need to wipe wipe it down, is soap and water? Should you use a degreaser, or can you just wipe it with water?
Probably any typical, like, Dawn dish detergent will work,
Yeah.
because that'll cut the grease. That'll get all that off there. So yeah, just any, or a degreaser, whichever you prefer. There's no right or wrong answer.
Any
on that.
different suggestions with the turkey fryers that they do outside
Oh,
for Thanksgiving?
turkey fryers.
Is it the same rules? Because that's kind of like, how many of calls? I mean, you hear the horror stories with that. Do you get as many calls as one might think, or are people usually pretty safe with those? It only takes one or two to create some stories, but any different suggestions there with that?
You know, like I said, I would just follow the owner's manual, how to cook them, how to use them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest tip that is when you go to put your turkey in the fryer, make sure it's dried off. You know, don't
the
take it
turkey.
right out of your brine solution
Okay.
and dump it in there, because that's
gonna
that's
get
water.
it.
Okay.
That's going to accelerate the process.
Yeah.
So make sure it's dried off properly before you stick it in. Would
Got
be
it.
a good takeaway.
And we'll repost our video of our turkey fryer that we did last year.
Did you guys do this with
did. We did.
There'll be a link below.
Yeah.
And like you said, just patting that turkey off. People think that, oh, I forgot to take my turkey out of the freezer. Let's quick and throw it in the hot oil to defrost it and cook it all at once, you know.
Makes
Kinda
perfect
that turnkey.
sense.
Well,
Add an
the
extra
problem
10
with
minutes.
frost, exactly.
Yeah, it turns into water.
Turns into water. So
Good heavens, yeah. I didn't think about that with it. I need a lot of this lesson. This is a really good video for me, you guys. Yeah.
You know, don't put candles on the back.
Don't
you know.
put, no,
we all love that.
the
'cause
candles.
it smells good, right? I got my Thanksgiving bouquet going on right here.
Turkey in the oven. So we're talking about stovetop. So turkey in the oven, that can get too hot to catch fire in the oven, do you think?
Possible, yeah. Yeah, if you don't have it wrapped.
forget your
Yeah,
turkey
you
in
forget
there?
it, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Best way, just turn the oven off. You know, the main thing is just turning it off. If you feel safe, taking it outside, do that. But if you don't, just turn it off and just let it self-contain inside
the door
there
shut.
until, if you feel like you need to call 911, call 911. We can come help. I'd rather help you that way instead of,
Yeah.
you know, catching your house on fire.
Do you only see that when they cook it too long, or do you see that with normal cooking times
Probably if
on
it's
turkey?
too high, I would imagine.
Okay, so
You know.
they're not following the directions of time and temperature.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'd never heard of that in the oven.
Your grease is boiling. I mean, your turkey drippings, they're boiling in that oven
Yes, they are.
down there. So that's pretty hot. Hey, so what temperature is too hot? When does it hit the ignite stage of grease? Do we know what that is? What is the ignition temperature?
About 600 degrees is when anything above that, there's the potential of catching.
So at
self-igniting.
400, it's not catching fire at 400.
No, not typically, unless something falls out on the burner itself, on the heat element, then it will.
Then
it'll catch
that
that
makes
fire.
sense.
It's when you get the grease popping and the grease going everywhere that then you have the issue.
Megan, start her up.
Yep, go ahead, try it.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to cut to last.
We might have to cut
video.
to a video.
Cut to yesterday's video.
Oh.
But if you come over here, you can see that the fire is actually back there where all that oil and grease.
Yeah.
All right, so we can see how dangerous this is, you guys. This is something you want to make sure that you're keeping track of. You want to make sure you're taking precautions, and you want to make sure the fire department's getting there, and then you want to make sure you trust somebody who can come and fix it afterwards.
Yep.
And really make a difference. Okay, you guys, last words, anything else? This is your time for advice.
Just be safe this coming Thanksgiving and Christmas. You know, it's all about family.
Yeah.
Be safe and do the right thing.
It's all about setting that alarm, keeping yourself and your family safe by setting a stupid alarm.
Yep. That's pretty easy if we can all remember to do that.
Yeah. You'll kick yourself that you didn't do that simple task. It's always afterwards that we go, I wish we would have taken that little step. Yeah. Super amazing. All right, well, this has been Jessica Carden,
And Chad Murdock,
your nosy neighbors, keeping you
in the know.
Nosy neighbors, keeping you in the know.
Nosy neighbors, keeping you in the know.
Hey guys, we're here with the Nosy Neighbors, and we're keeping you in the know.
The Nosy Neighbors, keeping you in the know.
The Nosy Neighbors, keeping you in the know.
So the Nosy Neighbors keeping you in the know.
The Nosy Neighbors are going to keep you in the know.